Hi, I thought I'd take a break from working on my TR3 carburetors. I'm in another location, and so I'm going to take an old pair of SU H2 carburetors from my Spitfire and rebuild them. I'm going to ship them off to Joe Curto to bush them, and then I'll rebuild them, and then I'll decide what to do with them from there. So this first video is going to be just documenting taking them apart and where everything goes. Okay, here's a video so I can see where all the parts go and remember. Parts diagram should cover it, but and so on. This jet is bent. If you can see it, but already disconnected it. But previous owner bent it up pretty good. It's at an angle, and let's take it apart. Okay, the first step is I'm going to send the carburetor body itself to Joe Curto to get the throttle shaft rebushed. And so I've got to send just this section to Joe Curto. I obviously can't get them apart and with these center linkages in place and so on. So I've got to take this one apart also. I'm keeping the parts separated in my high quality marked storage boxes, and of course I'm keeping the vacuum chamber and the piston together. So I'll go ahead and take the vacuum chamber, piston, and float bowl off of this one now. Okay, by removing this screw and this screw, I've managed to take this assembly off. So now I'm going to take the jet assembly and the jet out. I'll unscrew this. I think I unscrewed this first. I don't remember. I'll tell you when I get back. Actually, I pulled the jet out first, and you might have to play with this. I've cleaned this up a little bit. I was playing with it. That's not how it looked before. But I pulled the jet out first. I'm going to replace all of this, so I'm not worried about whether I bent that tubing past go or whatever. Now I got to take that nut off, and away we go. By the way, these are Whitworth sizes, I believe. Normally a 7/16 will take the rest of the small nuts out, and a 9/16 will get the big ones, but this one the 7/16 doesn't quite fit on. I'm going to do the unthinkable and use a crescent wrench. So this is really hard to turn, so I'm using some PB blaster, alternating PB blaster and choke cleaner on it, and I'm just turning it 1/8 of a turn at a time, back and forth to loosen it up, so don't try not to strip that out. Forgive the washing machine going in the background there, the noise. It took me about 15 minutes of slowly working that back and forth to get that out of there, but it's finally out. I'm glad this carb's been sitting for 21 years, I think, at least, off the engine. So who knows, previous owner, who knows how long it was before that. So I'm having a little trouble getting to the bolt that takes the float chamber off here with the wrench. So I'm going to, in a 7/16 wrench, if you tap it on, will go on that. Again, you should have a Whitworth wrench for that. I'm going to go ahead and take the carbs apart so I can get away from that linkage and get that linkage out of the way to take that float chamber off. Okay, so I've got that nut off just by lifting it up, but these nuts get trapped. These nuts get trapped between here and here. You can't get them all the way off until you take both sides, these bolts here, nuts here. You take these nuts off these studs, and once it's this way, I can, by moving the carb away from the manifold, can't do it one-handed, I can get that nut off. Let's see if it's enough now. No, it's still not enough. I'm gonna have to let you go and pull the carb off a little bit. There we go. I just needed another hand, so I'll take this nut off, put it in our. Now the carbs should just release from the manifold. If I can do it one-handed, I don't know if I can. There they go. So get the intake manifold out of the way, and now I can take them the rest of the way apart. Joe said to leave the lever on here, so the steel arm, so I will. Okay, note to self, the rear carb, it goes onto the car. There's the car right there. It goes onto the car this way. It doesn't have the linkage on the left side as you're looking at it from the top. And the front carb doesn't have the linkage as you're looking at on the right side as you're looking at it from the top. The linkage is on the left. That's sort of obvious, but hey. So just a note on this linkage, when I'm putting it back together, it goes this way with the nuts up, not this way. That way you can get to these two to adjust them, adjust the sync of the carb, right? So Joe wants me to leave this steel arm on that goes with the butterfly, and that actually, it feels pretty tight. I wonder if I can wobble it a little bit. 12 to 6. I can move it. It's hard to see here, but I can feel movement in that shaft up from the 12 to 6 direction. Oh, both directions. You can see it right there, right here. You can see the movement. So this is worn. It needs to be rebushed, right? And Joe's going to put new bushings in here and here, or not rebushed, but bushed. So now I have to take the in order to get the float bowl off. I know I could fight it and get it through without this off, the jet adjuster off, but I'm going to go ahead and take the jet adjuster off just so it's easier to get to this bolt for the float bowl. So off that comes. Now I'm looking at this. I'm going to keep it all together. I'll figure a way to zip tie it together or something, but I think this actuating arm is bent. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out about that. So I got to find a way to keep it all together, but just for documentation. You know, there it is. I'm sure the parts diagram will show me how it goes back together, but now it's really simple to take that bolt out, which holds the float bowl chamber. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So the rear bolt had a bunch of washers under it. The front bolt did not, so we might be missing some pieces. And this one is incredibly worn. Let's see if you can see that. That is about the most worn throttle I've ever seen. Look at it go side to side. That spring and poppet valve is emissions control, and that's going to go too. Okay, one other thing I want to document for myself is that spring wraps around. There's two ears. That looks like an ear, and then there's an ear right there, and that spring wraps around the smaller, more inner one. So I want to make sure I document that. I seem to recall with one of my cars that these gaskets right here, it's a big thick gasket right here, weren't available anymore. I'll have to check. I don't want to wreck that getting it off. I tried popping it off and it doesn't want to come. So we'll go from there. Okay, this rear piston lift is stuck fast. I've tried cleaning it up, tried putting PB blaster on it, but if you so this jet assembly nut is also not coming off. I'm going to let it soak in PB blaster. I tried it as hard as I could, felt comfortable with, and I'm going to let that soak, and I'm going to let the piston lifter soak overnight. Okay, the front float chamber, I took it apart. It looked okay, and it wasn't full of a bunch of guck. I want to make note these tabs are often missing, and I want to keep these. And mine was at 10 o'clock on the front one. So I've got one on the rear. Yeah, and it's at 10 o'clock on the rear as well. So so I'll take that one apart and see how it's doing. The float valve seems to be at least moving, and the float seems to be intact, although I'll replace it with one that's ethanol friendly. And the float chamber is clean. I mean, I've had taken a number of these apart, and I've never seen one that clean that's been sitting for a long time, so it must have been emptied out when they stored it. Okay, I'm going to let this soak with the PB blaster for the jet nut on there, and see if I can't free this up. And so these, other than the jet, these are ready to ship to Joe. Oh, also when I was fiddling with this, the other washer came loose. It was sitting stuck on there. I don't know how I didn't see it. So now I have that washer, although it's going to get replaced in the rebuild kit. So, well, that's it for this time. Next time I'm going to open up the box that I got back from Joe Curto for the rebushed carburetors and the rebuild kit, and I'm going to start rebuilding the carburetors. So hey, if this is helpful, subscribe, like it, make comments, whatever. It encourages me to spend the time editing these videos. Thank you.